Welcome to today's episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. My name is Adam Brsan.
And I'm Chris Smith.
If you've yet to do so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. And if you love this podcast, don't forget to share it with a friend or colleague. We greatly appreciate your help and support.
A few interesting questions to throw to Adam today as we discuss not sales objections, but the objections we struggle with in our own heads as it comes to running a business and making money. Let's get practical in our next 20 to 25 minutes. I wrote down 7, I think, agent objections, like the things we let get in our own way, not the things the clients say, but the stuff we say to ourselves. The first one I'd love to hear your thoughts on this morning is I've heard it straight from agents' mouths. Ironically, agents that have failed out of this business, but they'll say things to me like, there's no money to be made on a Friday. Why bother going out on a Saturday? I spend all day in an office instead of all day in the field. Why would I bother going out on a Friday or a Saturday? What would you say to somebody who's got that kind of stuck in their head mentality about making money on days like today?
I don't know why they would have something like that stuck in their head, to be quite honest. I think Fridays and Saturdays are great days to catch people. Some people will get home from work early on Fridays. Saturdays, of course, a lot of people are off. So, I mean, especially, I've always said, especially in the wintertime, but even in the summer, when you're not able to reach people during the week, well, you got to try to catch them on Saturday. When we're buying leads, we got to get as much out of those as we can. We talk about ordering leads consistently every week, but we also don't want a lot of our leads to fall through the cracks. And they'll fall through the cracks if you're not doing that. If you're not going out on Saturday, catching up with people that if you can't reach them during the week, well, when else do you think you can reach them? More than likely, they're working during the week, and Saturdays are great days to be able to catch them. So I think you need to be out in the field, especially a brand new agent needs to be out in the field every Saturday. There's no excuses to not be out working on a Saturday. Really, a brand new agent needs to be out 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. I mean, you got to be willing to put the time in. When you're brand new, I always say the first 9 months, really the first year, are the hardest because, you don't have a lot of back-end commissions coming in. You don't have the renewals. You know, you start to build renewals, it starts to feel like you have like at least a little bit of like a base salary. You don't have that when you're brand new. You got to be willing to put the time in. And those that aren't willing to put the time in, well, if they wonder why they're failing, that's a real good reason why.
I remember used to hearing people say, I need an admin day to catch up on stuff. Well, typically those are the people that didn't have anything to catch up on anyway, but wanted an excuse not to be in the field. If you feel like you're drowning in admin work, we have admins on staff. Put them to work. We pay for them. You pay for them. And if you feel like you've got extra stuff that you just need to get done, but you need to make money, utilize the resources you have around you. A second agent objection that I commonly think agents get stuck in their head and stuck in their way is that spending a lot of money on leads and their business is just not worth it. I'm getting by just fine the way I'm doing it. And why push the envelope any further if I'm getting by just fine, paying my bills the way things have been going?
I don't know. Why would you want to settle for mediocrity when there's so much opportunity in this business? And I mean, you got to be willing to take a little bit of a risk. I know we have some people that purchase like aged leads, things like that. They are, they're minimal expense and you can write some business off of them. I kind of look at time as money though. And the amount of time, extra time you're going to be spending on those leads. I think an age lead is really good for brand new agent that is just getting going, that they just don't have a whole lot of funds available. After that, you can create your own age leads by buying new leads every single week. I have about 1,000 age leads sitting in my own inventory right now, leads that still need to be dispositioned because I'm ordering new leads every single week. I'm writing business off the new leads. I'm also writing business off of my, I guess now what you could call a B lead or an age lead, because my appointment setters, they're calling all of the leads. So they're setting appointments on the new leads along with the older leads, but it's just a matter of being consistent with building up that inventory. But yeah, I mean, I have a bunch of free aged leads because I've created them myself. So that's what I would, any agent out there, if you're not new, you need to focus on a bigger investment. You need to focus on a steady flow of new leads every single week. And you're gonna make your money back, and you'll build up your own aged lead inventory.
And you know what's interesting? Because we continue to offer and innovate options regardless of the situation. That's why we have the career program. That's why we have folks that wake up on a Friday morning. They have their leads assigned to them. They have their appointment set for them. And Adam, that's really uncomfortable and it's really expensive. And that's going to grow really quickly to the point it's going to push us further. We're going to go from 1 to 4 people on that program in probably 3 months, from 4 to probably 10, probably by year's end. But that's because we're willing to innovate and offer options to get agents what they need if they're willing to do what works. I got another one for you. My family just doesn't believe in what I do. They don't think I'm capable of doing it. They've seen me struggle and they just say to me, why would you waste your time doing this? Just go out there and get a job, get an hourly wage, get a good, comfortable salary with benefits. People that's family just doesn't buy into what they do. What would you tell them to do?
I don't know. I kind of feel like that's just kind of like an old way of thinking. Like to me, like these days, I think more and more people are willing to just get out there and build their own business and create something for themselves. And they don't want to have a boss. They don't want to have someone who's telling them what time they have to be to work, what time they have to, clock in, and the hours that they have to work, and the type of money that they're going to make. Uh, People these days are, again, I don't know, they want to be able to build something for themselves. They want to be the ones that decide their income. And yeah, I think too, yeah, I think sometimes that does happen though, where the family gets in the way. I've seen it many times, where maybe the husband and the husband's the one who's maybe in the business, the wife is the one, maybe she's got a full-time job with benefits and other things too, but just doesn't see the value in and going out there, and the whole, what do you mean you got to buy leads? Why you got to, you're working for that? They look at it almost like a W-2. Like, if people don't understand the business, like people on the outside, they look at it as, well, why do you have to spend money for leads? Like, you're working for this company now and you have to buy leads. Like, shouldn't they be giving that stuff to you? And shouldn't they be paying you a salary to work for them? So I think a lot of people just that are not in the business don't understand it. But I think maybe people just need to explain it better to those around them, the opportunity that's there and the type of money that can be made. And then maybe people would understand that, boy, even if I do really bad, I'm still going to make more money than most 9 to 5 careers out there.
I just think it's interesting and important to recognize the value of self-respect for yourself. Like, you're in this because you wanted to be in it. Have the self-respect not to give up on it. Have the self-respect to have a tough skin when things don't go right. Figure out what you can do to make them go better with. And then explain to the people that are important to you what you want out of it. And if they value you and care for you, they're going to help you get it. And if they don't, put them at a distance. I also think it's important to recognize that when we get into Medicare season, when we get into the influx of money towards marketing, that's going to be production based. That's going to be track record based. That kind of money is going to go towards the kind of people that have been putting the time and effort in all year to grow their business. It's not like it used to be. It's not going to be handed out to everybody just because you're here, just because you're ready to sell, just because you have a license. It's going to be production based and go to the people that have been putting the time and the effort in to grow their business, and who we know if we put $1,000, $2,000, $10,000 into, they're going to take that and run with it. Adam, I got another one for you this morning. It just feels like everybody I get in front of is sick. Modified, guaranteed issue, direct express, cash app, the kind of people that are really challenging to deal with. It seems like everybody I run into this week has just been super sick, and maybe this doesn't work anymore. And I know you've dealt with that this week, a lot of sick and challenging people. What would you say to an agent that's stuck in their head that everybody they see is sick and half dead?
I think it's probably maybe more of a mindset thing. I always talk about how our thoughts kind of compound. And well, yeah, I mean, it happened to me this week. One person after another, you kind of run into some unhealthy people. Sometimes you don't even realize they're unhealthy until you have trouble getting a piece of business issued. Um, and I kind of look at it more on the other side, like more on the company side, like writing business with a new carrier, wanting to make sure that I'm writing good business. I don't want a new carrier to think I'm out there just trying to slip business through, because that's really not the case. Sometimes you don't see the whole story, and sometimes you just never know what's going to happen when you write a piece of business, how it's going to come back, whether it, whether issued as applied for or not. But I think it's probably just more of a mindset thing, and it's just a matter of activity and just sticking with it. And it's a numbers game. The more people you see, the more healthy people you'll end up running into too.
Yeah, you're gonna run into streaks where everybody has direct express, everybody has one leg, everybody seems like they're modified, but it all balances out if you're seeing enough people. Another one that I know agents let get into their head that slows them down and keeps them from making money is the belief that nobody can really afford what I'm selling. The area I'm in is awful. There's something wrong with the lead type that I'm selling. I just have to make some kind of a significant change because the leads are bad, the area is bad, and nobody can afford what I'm trying to sell them. What would you say to somebody who's got that stuck in their head?
I can't remember the last time I was in an area that wasn't bad, Chris. Um, I mean, that's our market. I mean, we're not working on the nice side of town. I mean, we're working in the areas where people need our help the most. The low income people that experience these sort of things a lot, where somebody passes away. If their family member or friend hadn't prepared, it's going to affect everybody. It could affect the whole community financially. So I love working those areas because it hits home a lot harder. I think it's easier to sell in those areas because they actually experience those sort of things. I worked other areas where you try to explain the importance of final expense, and you have the guy who's kind of just, I don't know, I can't think of a good way to put it, but he's just, oh, I don't care, just throw me out in the backyard. Like, that type of person just doesn't get it, because that's not actually what's going to happen. Like, your family's still going to be held accountable for those expenses, and you want to make sure that they're set up right. And I always tell people, you don't want the last thing, the last way your family to remember you is that you stuck them with a $15,000 funeral bill. Like that's something that can be prevented by you do something right now. But yeah, I mean, nobody can afford it. I mean, people people have income coming in. I mean, I've dealt with people that are getting $600 or $700 a month in Social Security and are still willing to put 50, 60, $70 a month into something like this, just because they're caring people. They see what happens when you don't have something like this, and they don't want to put their family in that predicament. I mean, that's a pretty big sacrifice if they're figured spending $70 a month and they're only getting 700 a month. I mean, that's what, 10% of their income that they're willing to put into something. So uh, yeah, you can't be intimidated either by the areas that you sometimes have to go in and work.
Yeah, I used to be just as intimidated by areas that were too nice until I realized with the skills and the experience with Medicare, any home I walk into, I can find something to help people with. I think it's important to be practical before we wrap up this morning, to be direct with your potential clients, be authentically you, but don't sugarcoat stuff too much. Like, they need to see the value, you need to build the value, and then they'll make the purchase. So be direct, be you, and call us from the home. I spoke to an agent yesterday that had a situation that they weren't able to close, but I guarantee you, if they would have called me, I would have helped them close it. Make our phones ring, make us earn our override, push us to be better in leadership and helping you close business if you don't think you can find the business in the home. And if we can't find it, we'll tell you, Adam, get out of that home. There is nothing you can do for that lady, and tell that lady to never fill out one of these cards again. And I think each and every one of us would be happy to take that call. And if for some reason we don't answer, post in the chat. Somebody will have your back so you can help write that business. Adam, I've read it before. I've taught it. I've noticed it. I think sometimes, like we're talking about today, making big, bold, broad statements can be very dangerous, especially if they're negative statements. So I think it's important for agents and human beings themselves to be mindful of what they say when they say things like nobody will buy, everybody will cancel, nobody qualifies, leads, all that kind of big, bold statements are pretty dangerous. In our final 1 to 2 minutes this morning, speak to somebody on the call that really needs to make some money today, to believe what they're doing works, to show their wife what they do works, and to show themselves they can do it again next week.
Okay. Yeah. And one thing real quick before that, Chris, the different things you were talking about here, just these different excuses. And one that we hear so much too in our business or people on the outside is, oh, the persistency in final expense is so bad. Why would you want to sell a product to poor people that can't afford it, that they might make one payment and then it falls off? And you know what? Yeah, things like that happen, but it's a matter of being consistent. If you're writing a lot of business, you're not going to have to deal with a whole lot of chargebacks. And when you do have chargebacks, you're writing enough business that it doesn't even hurt. You don't even feel it. Um, and it's just a matter of doing things that you can to keep up with your business and making sure to set draft dates properly. Social Security draft dates, whether they get paid on the first, the third, or the second, third, or fourth Wednesday, just being sure to set those things up accurately and not giving the client an option when it comes to the draft dates. But yeah, that's another one that I just hear so much is, oh, why would you want to sell final expense? The persistency is awful. My persistency is like usually on average between 85 and 90%. I write a fairly good amount of business. So it's a matter of just doing things the right way. And these days, everybody has some sort of account that we can draft out of for the most part. So as long as we're setting those dates properly, persistency shouldn't be an issue. But yeah, those that are looking for any kind of advice when it comes to what they can do to have a good week next week, well, pretty simple. Kind of like what Chris said at the beginning of the call. Right now is the time to buy leads. Whether those are leads that have already been purchased that we can pay, that you can pay for, or like the toolkit leads. Like I'm a little dry this week on leads. I might place my own toolkit order just to ramp things up a little bit more for next week. And that's another thing, I think focus maybe on direct mail, supplement it with like toolkit leads or aged leads when your direct mail is coming in a little slow, but focus on that steady flow of direct mail every week. I was happy to hear Chris mentioning that Erin had placed her first order for some new direct mail. And I would also recommend from there to maybe consider getting set up with our appointment setters. And, it works for us. And again, it's just kind of being consistent with it, rinse and repeat. And it'll get to the point where you have so much to do that you're just going to wish that there were more hours in the day. And that's not a bad problem to have. And that's the problem I have right now. Like I said, I have over 1,000 leads that are just sitting on my iPad that are yet to be dispositioned. If anything, I got to find some more agents to help me go out there and work them. So it's a good problem to have. But yeah, anyways, that's pretty much it. Be consistent with placing those orders, and money's never going to be an issue to you. Focus on the new leads, build up your own age lead inventory. And when you don't have appointments, fill in the gaps with those non-disposition leads. And it'll be a win-win. You'll write business throughout the week off the appointments along with the leads that you're door knocking.
Let's end this week, though, before we talk about next, on a positive note, on a profitable note, and a productive note. Be direct, be you, and if you don't know what to do, call us and lean on the system you've invested to be a part of. Take care and let's kill it today, and we'll see you back Monday morning.
And this concludes another episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend or colleague, and if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please leave those too. Any input is greatly appreciated. Thank you.